Next week, get ready because we're going to reveal our college football top 25 poll.
Hello, and welcome to Updog Sports Talk. My name is
Woo.
Matt Miller. Joining me today is Justin McGovern. What is up, Justin?
Matt, I'm very excited. Obviously, it's been another week of football season. And as we've been alternating here between college and NFL, this week it's time to talk some NFL football here. And you know what?
Let's
we're gonna
do
go
it.
over today. I think we're going to talk about who's been looking good so far. Who's our MVPs of the year? Maybe not necessarily contenders to the MVP award, but who's our MVPs of the year and who's our least valuable people of the year so far? Who's been struggling a little bit and needs to improve?
Let's do this.
Well, let's start out here. I would say I want to get started here with Cooper Kupp because, he has absolutely torn it up so far this year again. Maybe a little bit too much because it's gotten to the point now where they're throwing to him basically every single play.
Someone put on the internet, it said, Rams offense, Cooper Kupp, sack, Cooper Kupp. That's literally
what it's been so far. Yeah. And it's not like as if, they didn't invest in other options. They invested in Allen Robinson this offseason. And
they didn't really invest in the offensive line, though. So that's part of the problem. But yeah. I agree with you. Allen Robinson has been pretty absent. He got that one touchdown, but other than that, you really haven't heard his name called.
And just to give you this, Allen Robinson has been targeted less this whole season than Cooper Kupp was in the last game. Cooper Kupp was targeted 19 times last game, while Allen Robinson's been targeted 18 times all year. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the guy was paid money to come in and
but he's not getting breakfast with Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford. So
yeah, very, very clearly Allen Robinson needs to start being part of these 5 hours, 6 a.m. breakfasts. Yeah. Like he's not included at all.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Cam Akers is also in the LVP category because and I think it's mainly play calling. I think it's mainly to get him back to fully 100%. He's physically 100% to go after his Achilles tear last year. But
yeah,
I think they're trying to ease him into the offense, and a lot of fantasy owners are pissed off.
Yeah, if you're a fantasy owner, I don't think you want any part of the Rams running backs. You really don't want anyone of the Rams except for Cooper Kupp.
After Monday night against the 49ers, I'd say the defense as well. And then that fan that ran on the field came out right before, or a couple hours before we started this recording. That fan is actually filing charges against Bobby Wagner for hitting him.
Yeah. Hang on, no, I did not hear about this until right now. Are you freaking serious?
Yeah,
we have completely. This is going to really change.
That is 100% LA. That is how LA operates.
No, this is completely wrong for how anything should go. Yeah. Like
you're doing something illegal.
You're in an illegal place. You have to accept responsibility for whatever happens. You get freaking smashed to the dirt by Bobby Wagner. That's what happens. That's what happens when you run on the field. How
it was a clean tackle.
Are we just going to have this happen every game now? Are we going to have someone run on the field every single game because there's no repercussions and you could sue for it?
And how is he out of jail? Isn't it 180 days in jail if you run onto the field?
I thought so.
Plus up to a $10,000 fine. It's something like that. But yeah, that to me is ridiculous. So LVP dude who's suing Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, he's the biggest MVP of all of them.
MVP to Bobby Wagner for that beautiful form tackle.
Oh, it was perfect. Yeah, they covered it in the Manning cast and everything. That was a perfect tackle.
Yeah, and as Eli Manning said, if you're gonna run onto the field and streak, you might as well just go buck naked.
Yeah, no, come on, you gotta go all in.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on here. Another MVP on our list here. Honestly, though, the Eagles' whole team at this point. Now they're undefeated. They're the last undefeated team left. So it feels like, it's harder to see weakness when a team is still winning. But
Yeah,
really though,
and
Matt, I'm having a hard time
but they're
finding
all dogs.
dogs.
Yeah, they're just out there to eat, dude. Like
Yeah.
Nick Sirianni, everyone blasted him after that really bad presser. But as he said
Couple
on
weird
Pat's
ones.
show, he's a legit guy. Players see through you not being legit, and he's a legit guy. So you have to be legit, especially in Philly, where those fans have high expectations of you already. They'll boo you out of town if you just lose one game. Sirianni doesn't want to get booed out of town.
But I want to give a
they got it
specific
going.
shout out for sure, like to the offensive line. Their offensive line right now is the best in the NFL. Like what they're doing up front is just incredible. I mean, they're bashing holes for running backs. Giving Jalen Hurts time to throw. Like they are just on top of it right now. Adding AJ Brown to the receiving core has brought that to a whole nother level. It's helped Jalen Hurts improve. Like, I mean, I'm still inclined
they literally
to
took winning the trenches to a whole new level.
Yeah. I mean, they're dominating up front. Jason Kelsey thought about retiring at one point this offseason. He's back and still playing at the top of his career. Like, he looks like he's got another 5 years.
Yeah, he downed those kegs immediately as soon as Sirianni gave them to him, and he's back. And like that, he's a huge reason why they're as good as they are. And both running backs doing halfway decent. That defense playing lights out right now.
They're terrorizing quarterbacks up front, picking up a lot of sacks. Darius Slay is still locking people down in the secondary. I mean, this defense is just impressive.
Is Derek Barnett still there? Oh, he's out for the season, isn't he?
Yeah, and honestly, they haven't missed him.
Yeah, not at all. Because they have Brandon Graham, they have Fletcher Cox, and Jordan Davis just eating people right now.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they are just incredible up there. I mean,
I'm
in a weird situation because I can't even drop them in fantasy football now. They have a bye week 7. I don't know what I'm going to do.
At that point, you just got to hang on to them.
Yeah. But maybe someone in the NFC East that isn't so great right now. Let's talk about Kenny Golladay, because this guy is getting paid more than any receiver this year, and he has just been a complete bum.
This guy also has an MCL sprain.
He has an MCL sprain right now, but he was a complete bum before that. Like, this guy's he's dropped more passes than he's caught at this point.
Should we put Matt Stafford in the Hall of Fame for just making Kenny Golladay good?
Probably.
Like, just take everything else that guy has done off the table and just solely look at that. Should we just put him in the Hall of Fame for that?
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, Kenny Golladay actually looked good in Detroit. I think he just got fat and happy with his money in New York, or New Jersey, I should say. Yeah, he's just been a complete bum. And he says he needs to be more involved in the offense, which, I can see it sometimes. Sometimes receivers have a hard time being more involved when they're not involved right away. But this guy's done nothing to prove he should be more involved in the offense.
I would say that entire receiving core except for Sterling Shepard. And Sterling Shepard's been the only constant. Yeah. So, like, I would say that entire receiving core now.
But now, to give a positive on the Giants, because the Giants are 3-1 right now. How about Saquon Barkley? He is finally back to prime form again, and it has just been amazing to watch.
He just took 2 years off, was messing with people, and then now he's completely back, and he is just ready for an MVP.
Yeah, he looks amazing. So he's leading the league in rushing. Ooh, UCF has a punter named Colton Boomer.
That's a perfect punter name.
Yeah. And they're not actually having a punt right now. Okay. But yeah, Saquon Barkley leads the league in rushing right now. I hope he stays like this the whole year because it has just been fun to watch.
Yeah. Shout out to that offensive line for just getting those holes open.
Yeah. I know they've improved a lot. Like, they did a really good job upgrading that line. Obviously, drafting Evan Neal helps. Feliciano has come over from the Bills to help upgrade the run blocking a little bit.
And Andrew Thomas just continues to build off of what he's learning. So they got something going. They're 3-1. They head to London. By the way, that London game against the Packers, the first time in 13 years that they've been doing London games?
The entire international series, pretty much.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that goes back 13 years. This is the first game against two teams with a winning record.
Yep. And also the first time the Packers are there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then moving on, 49ers, dude. Their defense is electric.
Yeah. They have created
Fred
a
Warner
lot
alone.
of confusion up front. Fred Warner's been eating. They're doing a good job creating confusion up front, which honestly, like I said, I mean, you would think an offensive line would think, okay, Nick Bosa, let's make sure we block this guy. But they're making a lot of moves up front to really cause a bunch of confusion to make it tougher than you would think.
They're just running stunts. They're confusing offensive line, sending some linebackers, sending some corners. I love it.
Yeah. They have been.
And we can actually, for the 49ers, we can add Debo to that list of MVPs.
Oh, yeah. Debo's been looking great as usual this year. Well
worth that money.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like the 49ers would not be the same if they didn't have him. They would be at the bottom of the NFC West, I think, right now.
Yeah, probably.
Because, I mean, after all, the Seahawks have been more competitive than we thought they would be because Geno Smith has actually played really well.
So I looked this up earlier. After he left the Jets, he went to the Giants and sat behind Eli Manning. And then, where'd he go after that? I looked it up. He went to San Diego and sat behind Phillip Rivers, and then sat behind Russell Wilson. So he had 3 quarterbacks that have had success in the NFL. Learned, figured some things out. He just got ruined by the Jets, and then stepped in last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. Now stepped in near the end of the season, threw a decent game, and then just threw the game-losing pick, but to the Rams. And then this year, dude, he's balling. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I know he's looked very good. He's been a huge surprise. Everyone kind of laughed.
He's been the Geno Smith. It only took him 8 years to figure it out. Like,
yeah, I mean, part of that is washing the Jets off of you. A lot of Jets suck there.
And the years that he was there, and the years he was on each of those teams, they were bad. Like, even as a backup, like the Giants were bad that year. The Chargers were okay, but that's when they were kind of beginning their descent.
They were falling apart a little bit. They're getting ready to be a team with a top pick to get Justin Herbert.
And then he came in after the Legion of Boom had just completely vanished. So he's doing great things. He has a great receiving core. He's actually taking advantage. Yeah, and they actually have a few running backs that can kind of provide relief, so he doesn't have to throw 300 yards a game. He can throw 170 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and overall, they upgraded the offensive line a little bit more than still not great, but it's better than what they've had for like the past decade. So, shout out to that. I mean, it's impressive what Geno Smith is doing so far. I hope that after this week where he's getting all talked up and stuff, that things don't kind of drop off a little bit. But I want to see this run continue.
Yeah, and moving on a little bit because we got to speed this up. The Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he's playing for that $240 million guaranteed.
Yeah, and he's earning it so far.
After the Deshaun Watson deal, you figured that every quarterback was going to want fully guaranteed money. Browns are stupid because every quarterback since then has not gotten fully guaranteed money.
Yeah.
But they have gotten more. So he did up that a little bit. But Lamar Jackson thinks he's worth fully guaranteed money. He is.
Yeah. Short answer is he is. He can command whatever he wants. He is that team right now. He is carrying this
John Harbaugh, and I forget who their GM is after the other dude left, but give that man his money. Otherwise, you're going straight below the Browns in the division.
Yeah, for sure. I mentioned that what's not helping them right now is their defense, or at least whatever scheme they're running, because they have.
I think they need to get rid of their defensive coordinator. 2 straight games of having almost like a three score lead.
It's actually 2 out of the last 3. They did beat the Patriots, and
that's right, in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, they on paper looked like they had the best defense, in the NFL, and they have not shown.
Yeah,
it.
we talked about in our preseason preview show how improved their defense is going to be with all these guys back from injury, and it just hasn't happened. I mean, it's no longer, you can't use injuries as an excuse anymore. It's just not playing well.
They also did get hit with the injury bug a little bit. So players out here, players
there's
out
a
there.
few, yeah.
So they still have that going, but I don't see at this point. I mean, we're only 4 games in. I don't see them at this point finishing the season at the top of the AFC North.
Yeah, a lot of competition there, and
they got a lot to figure out on defense before they get there.
Yeah. I mean, I still think they're going to make the playoffs just because Lamar is playing so well. But yeah, it'll be very tough to win the AFC North though.
Maybe they'll do well against small hands Kenny Picks later in the season, but they got a tough test against Joe Burrow this weekend.
Yeah, and obviously Kenny Pickett, he's going to begin playing now, and he's had new.
Let's put him as an MVP despite his 3 picks, because none of them were his fault. They all bounced off of receivers' hands, or it was a Hail Mary at the end of the game. Kenny Pickett, you could see the energy in the offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the receivers had new energy. I mean, he isn't going to overthink as much because, I mean, their offensive line, we're going to talk about at least like their bums right
now. We'll give them an LVP. We'll give the Steelers offensive line an LVP. You guys have been terrible. Made Mitch Trubisky look even worse than he already is. Najee Harris has less yards than Joe Mixon, and almost as many yards as Joe Burrow's been sacked.
Yeah, and I mean, like, at this point, like, it gets to a point where, like, Mitch is just staring at the rush too much, and they're just getting nothing going. He's too afraid to make a mistake where he just sits there and takes the sack. Kenny Pickett is actually like firing it in there. I mean, at this point, with the receivers you have, you just got to throw up to those guys. I mean, George Pickens finally was unleashed when Kenny Pickett came into the game. He was throwing the ball up to him. Pickens was making plays.
He also had 60 yards at halftime. So that helps when you can, because that was his first game over 100 yards, but not pick six. He didn't throw any pick sixes. Kenny Picks, he I can't say that with a straight face. But Kenny Picks getting him the ball is huge. Honestly, I think Claypool is either gone. They might trade him this year, but definitely by next year he's traded.
Yeah, that run his rookie season where he had like 3 really good games is kind of proving to be an anomaly at this point. He hasn't done anything since.
LVP Matt Canada. You're just bad. I'm thankful for it because after the first game, you guys have been terrible. So thank you. But and an NFL team that has that defense, we've seen multiple quarterbacks that aren't deserving of a Super Bowl win a Super Bowl because of their defense. I'm not saying Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett are going to get a Super Bowl ring this year, but they're good enough. That defense is good enough, even without TJ Watt, to get by. But when TJ Watt doesn't play, I'm pretty sure they're winless. I think I saw it, or maybe they have 1 win, but they're not great.
It hasn't happened very often, but yeah, they definitely haven't done well without him.
Yeah. Short term, early season, Joe Burrow was an LVP. That offensive line was an LVP. That defense was an LVP. Bengals on the way up, past 2 games, offensive line, MVP. Joe Burrow, MVP. I'd say LVP for the Bengals is Joe Mixon. Got to get things going. That's not his fault, but I'm putting him in LVP category just because he is more talented than that.
Sometimes there's something to be said about an offensive line, just kind of figure out how to work together. And so far, I mean, just based on the improvement the past few games, I'm starting to think that might have been the case with the Bengals offensive line, where they had so many new free agent acquisitions. They have a new rookie in there and stuff, like 3 new starters, basically. That continuity wasn't there, and they kind of needed to figure it out a little bit. And it seems like they're
Plus,
on the
they
way.
didn't get
Still
to
not
play
great.
with Joe Burrow or Joe Mixon in the preseason. Like, they didn't get that practice time with either of them.
Yeah. And I mean, they're still getting there, but now they're finally allowing less sacks, which is good. Mixon's finding more lanes to run in. It's not great, but they've at least improved to middle of the road.
He does have 3 more yards than Najee Harris, so on a good trajectory, I guess. But
hey,
MVP,
we can't keep comparing the Steelers' offensive line.
I know.
Let's go bury
MVP,
some more offensive lines.
Hold on. MVP, one last one for the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson. Keep doing your stuff, dude.
Yeah, he's been killing it so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's bury some more offensive lines here. We can bury the Bears' offensive line. They've been straight up terrible so far.
We said in our preseason show they were going to be the worst offensive line in the league, and they have been.
Yeah. And to top it all off, Cody Whitehair got hurt, which is just going to make things worse. I mean, they were already a unit that was struggling and couldn't afford. They definitely could not afford injuries, and that's unfortunately what's happening. They're doing a decent job blocking for the run, but they are just a turnstile when they pass the ball. And obviously, they're already up against the passing the ball. Until this past week, they weren't really scheming plays up for Mooney. That kind of helped boost it a little bit. But outside Mooney, they have a bunch of 4th and 5th string receivers out there. So
I'm going to include, I know you disagreed with me when we talked about this off air, but I'm going to include Justin Fields in LVP for now. Averaging slightly over 100 yards a game, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks on the season. So, and 50% completion percentage. Not all of it's his fault. But with that much hype, you got to figure something out.
I just don't think we should overreact to it because, I mean, what do we do?
I'm not putting him very high on the list of LVPs. Yeah. I'm just including him just because of his season stats as of right now.
I just don't know what we expected. I mean, going into the year, I mentioned it, like, they're going to have no passing game. They have no receivers. They have no offensive line. I mean, neither one of them is going to make for a good passing game.
And they don't have Khalil Mack, and they don't have that much of a defense. So,
yeah, their defense is actually kind of struggling too.
Yeah. Bears as a whole, we're putting you in LVP category.
Yeah, I mean, they play the Vikings this weekend too, and unfortunately, it's not in prime time because, Kirk Cousins himself has played well, but prime time Kirk Cousins, not so much.
No. That offense, we told everybody in preseason that the weakness is the offensive line, and that offensive line has not shown up to play.
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's been too bad. They do a pretty solid job run blocking. As long as they scheme things up right, it's done pretty well.
But the pass game,
up the worst on this list.
And then, not the worst. I'd put them around where I'd put Justin Fields. But the pass blocking, they've been pretty bad, especially in prime time. So it's not all Kirk Cousins, but he also doesn't make it look pretty. But we've talked a lot about a long stretch of negative. Let's talk about a little bit of positive. Cowboys defense.
Cowboys defense. All right, we'll go Cowboys defense, then Patrick Mahomes. We're really going to cover all the what the sports media likes to talk about here.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys defense has been killing it so far. Micah Parsons has been unstoppable off the edge. I mean, I'm not going to compare him.
I'm not going to compare him to Lawrence Taylor yet, but he's definitely headed in that direction. Dude is a beast. He played middle linebacker in college. He played defensive end in high school, remembers all of it. And he said, he literally told Dan Quinn, wherever you go, I'm going. So if Dan Quinn leaves, maybe he doesn't stick around, but that's a future conversation. But super MVP to Micah Parsons. I'd say Diggs is playing pretty well too.
Yeah.
Got a couple picks already this season. And then Cooper Rush, he's is undefeated in his NFL career.
As a starter. There's no other undefeated starter in the NFL right now other than him.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least.
Yeah, and he's playing pretty damn good. And if Dak comes back and plays bad, you can ship Dak down to Houston.
Yeah, I mean, we can exaggerate all you want. I think the main thing is Cooper Rush has done exactly what you asked him to. He hasn't really thrown any like careless passes. And when he does pass, he's done a really good job targeting CD Lamb, which honestly, I don't know if Dak does a good enough job of doing. But
He reminds me of
like
Chase
just
Daniel.
sending some targets CD Lamb's way, your stud receiver, it goes a long ways. I mean, like CD Lamb's production's actually picked up since Dak got hurt.
Yeah,
So that's been a huge help.
and then Noah Brown, he already has that chemistry with practice.
Yeah.
And so getting the ball to Noah Brown, that adds another element. And then getting Gallup back was huge.
Honestly, it was impressive by Noah Brown because this is really the first sighting I've seen of him since he randomly got 4 touchdowns against Oklahoma in college.
Yeah, and I am still not big on Zeke, and Zeke and Pollard are literally just taking stuff away from each other.
Yeah.
So they're vulturing each other's yards, and like they need to choose one. But right now it seems to be working.
It's a committee that everyone does it now.
No, I know, but like you have Zeke, and then like Pollard's on his last year, so he's playing for a contract somewhere, and so we can go with Patrick Mahomes. Dude is a beast against the Bucks. He had one of the most insane passes I've seen in a while.
He was just having one of those nights where you're just like, no matter what you do, you just can't stop him. I mean, he when he turns it on, like he is freaking on it, and it's just crazy to see.
Let's go with that entire offense. They had 200 yards rushing that game.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of it is because of the threat that he brought. Like he got the running lanes wide open for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's actually kind of stepped it up this year. More open than usual against the Buccaneers, because usually the Buccaneers are really tough to run on. And like he's really brought up a unit of people that doesn't, other than Travis Kelce, they don't really have like a top guy. But Mahomes,
no, but Travis Kelce's that top guy, and then he's like old-fashioned Aaron Rodgers. He just needs some halfway decent receivers. I mean, Jordan Nelson was good. Okay, that's a bad example, but but I mean, Valdez-Scantling has the speed. Nicole Hardman has the speed. Juju has speed. Who's their other guy?
They also
got someone else.
Honestly, they just throw a bunch of other random people in there. I was going to mention Sky Moore, but he has not made an impact yet.
Yeah, he hasn't really done much, but that receiving core is half the reason why they're doing well. They're just getting open.
Yeah, they've done a good job. Mentioning Aaron Rodgers, he's obviously been on his usual form. They had their usual week 1 dud. It seems like the Packers do that every year now, but Aaron Rodgers has done a good job just kind of running the offense. He has a bunch of new receivers, bunch of young guys out there. But he's making it work. He's getting wins, and then getting throwing the ball to those running backs. The running backs, obviously, Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon have been splitting carries, but both of them have been complete studs so far.
Yeah, and getting a fully healthy offensive line helps too. Their defense is playing great against the run.
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary, everyone blasted that pick. Dude might be one of the best in the NFL right now.
Yeah, it's gone really well.
Yeah. But I still wouldn't put anybody on that offense in MVP category at this point in the season. Like, maybe the closest one is Aaron Rodgers for holding that offense afloat. But that defense, Rashawn Gary deserves an MVP on our list.
Yeah, for sure. Defenses that aren't looking good. The Lions defense has given up the most points in the NFL so far.
Yeah. They have the highest scoring offense, and they're ranked number 1 in scoring offense. They're ranked 32nd in scoring defense.
Their defense hasn't stopped anybody.
Offense is averaging 32 points per game. Defense is averaging 32.3 points per game. So Justin and I had some conflicting tweets on Twitter this past weekend about it. I personally believe that they would be okay skipping a quarterback in this draft with how their offense has been playing. but like they're because they're the highest scoring offense. Goff has been playing very well, top 10 in stats right now, and it's the defense that's the problem.
Yeah, but if this Lions team wants to win the Super Bowl, better see Dan Campbell sometime down the line. This is probably the last year they're going to suck enough to get a good quarterback. Goff just isn't the guy that's going to win playoff games.
I'd say if you miss out on CJ Stroud,
talent.
If you miss out on CJ Stroud, just get a defensive player. Just get a very strong defensive player.
I don't know. There's a lot of guys out there. I think we got a good quarterback class coming up here, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I know a team that definitely looks like that tries to get a quarterback every year and it hasn't worked out is the Indianapolis Colts. At this point, is it because there's no continuity? Like their offense just stinks. Their offensive line can't run block. Obviously we don't have to mention again how they have no receivers outside of Michael Pittman. Alec Pierce is still, figuring it out. He's a rookie.
He's in and out of concussion protocol, so it's like hard to even tell when he's playing. They're dealing with tons of injuries. But is Frank Reich the guy? Like, should we start thinking about him moving on from Indy?
Well, I mean, you think about it, like he very clearly likes to pass more than run, but this is a roster that was supposed to be constructed to run the ball first.
Jonathan Taylor's out this Thursday.
Yeah. That I don't know how
that hurts.
That's not good. Yeah. They play the Broncos, by the way. We can transition to the Broncos. Nathaniel Hackett, another at least LVP. He looks in over his head so far, and the offense just looks uncomfortable there.
Yeah, and Javonte Williams tearing his ACL. Melvin Gordon fumbling 4 times. And then Russ Wilson. Geno Smith is out playing you, dude. You gotta.
Yeah.
It's no longer a let's ride. It's do or die.
Yeah. You gotta open up the kitchen a little bit. I do wonder how much of it's on Hackett. I just don't know if his play calling really fits Russ. So yeah, they need to figure it out. Anyways, I guess we probably should get to our last ones here. Let's talk. This one obviously is going to be mine here. Talking about MVP, Josh Allen so far has been the entire Bills offense at this point. I mean, literally, it's to the point where every single play that Josh Allen isn't involved, even if it's like him throwing a screen to a running back, every single play that he's not involved feels like a waste of a play. And honestly, it turns out to be. That's what the stats show. I mean, they have had maybe 5. I've like, I looked at read articles and stuff to make sure to keep up with every single Bills game, and I've watched 2 of them. Pretty much I think I can count so far maybe 5 successful plays all year that didn't involve Josh Allen. And obviously he's been playing at a high level, but one part that needs to step it up is the offensive line. I mean, running backs aren't even getting a chance to make plays. We obviously we've wondered back and forth for a while now if Devin Singletary's a really guy or not. I mean, it's really hard to tell at this point because, every single running back that carries the ball is just getting hit behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I mean, Cook, I was excited to see Cook, and he's not cooking. He had that fumble and just kind of disappeared, and then I'm pretty sure I saw Zach Moss the other day get a carry, and I'm like, why is he still playing?
Yeah. By the way, one of the 5 successful plays that didn't involve Josh Allen was out of nowhere, just like, I mean, this is the blind squirrel finding a nut situation. Out of nowhere, Zach Moss busted like a 43-yard run on the Dolphins where he was untouched. Yeah. I don't know why defense worked that play.
Defense, I'd say, kind of an LVP, but only because of injuries. The fact that you guys lost Micah Hyde, the fact that Jordan Poyer was hurt for that week, he came back huge with that pick last week to kind of put them on that drive to go down the field and win it. But like Von Miller, MVP.
Yeah, Jordan Poyer, you mentioned him. You mentioned MVP. Jordan Poyer definitely deserves a shout out as MVP. I mean, he has 4.
But I haven't seen much from the rest of the defense. Like plays here and there, but I haven't really seen much from the rest of the defense. So they got to.
I mean, the defensive line has done a really good job. They are putting pressure while the Bills are the least
Von Miller's
team in the entire league. Oh no, the rest of them too. The rest of them have stepped up because of Von Miller. Rousseau has stepped up. Daquan Jones has been an absolute run stuffer on the inside. The Bills
We got
have
4
proved
minutes.
probably one of the
You
best
gotta-
run defenses. That's why we're wrapping up with this, Matt. This is a lot way I could talk for a long time. But yeah, definitely I would say, on the offensive side, Josh Allen's just been carrying this offense. But yeah, the offensive line needs to step up, and this team wants to win a Super Bowl now.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff going on around the NFL. Bengals look bad first 2 weeks and then but then we found out the Cowboys defense is halfway decent. And then Cooper Rush might be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They seem to be on an upward trajectory. We'll see what happens this Sunday night. And then Tua being out gives the Bills the statistical advantage, but don't count out Teddy Bridgewater. Mike McDaniel is going to figure out a plan for him. Hopefully Tua's okay. That was kind of a nasty couple weeks. A lot of
Very
bad
scary
things being said. So hopefully he comes out of it and has a brain of steel. Thoughts and prayers out to Tua. But yeah, Dolphins look pretty good. MVP to them. MVP to Mike McDaniel, but I'm gonna actually not include him in the list because he may be involved in the Tua going back out there. And then last couple of thoughts, Baker Mayfield, not who we thought he was.
He stinks.
Thought it was just a Cleveland thing. No, he's Johnny Manziel without the off the field issues. And then Cliff Kingsbury, get better at play calling, dude. You got a decent quarterback. We'll see how things go when DeAndre Hopkins comes back. That's the NFL.
Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, the guy usually only has like 12 plays. It's not working this year. Usually they catch people by surprise in the start of the year. That hasn't even happened yet.
Yeah. So running out of time. Any last thoughts?
I think we got them all. If you're on the LVP list, you gotta step it up. Your team needs you.
Well, that is the show for the day. Follow us at Updog Sports Talk on every social media. We're on TikTok, haven't posted lately, but still follow us to show some love. We'll eventually post back on there, but that's the show, guys. We'll catch you next week.
Next week, get ready because we're going to reveal our college football top 25 poll.
It's exciting.
I think we'll find out.
Yeah. So stay tuned for next week. We'll see you guys.
See ya.